The gold board, the Afenyo-Markin says that the gold board has sold gold and made losses, and that no one should sell gold and make losses. When the tone gold boka says those who recorded $400 million loss under domestic gold purchase program in 2024, according to the IMF they are quoting. And this is also coming from the same people under whose tenure another state institution, MIF, implemented the gold purchase program and recorded losses to the tune of over $90 million. Today, they want to give us lectures on gold trading. Ladies and gentlemen, I have news for them. We will not take moral lessons from the brothel. Then number two, they say, why has the Bank of Ghana pulled out of financing the gold board if gold board is not making losses? Number one, the Bank of Ghana has not pulled out from anything. The MPP government decided that it will run a program called Domestic Gold Purchase Program, which will be managed by the Bank of Ghana. And they designed that program in a certain way, which I will talk about it. President Mahama promised to reset Ghana, including the gold trade sector. And his reset is the gold board. The act has been passed and the gold board is ready for takeoff. And so this new gold board model, as envisioned under the Gold Board Act, is not anchored on Bank of Ghana financing gold board. The gold board has been given the powers under Section 18 of the Gold Board Act by Parliament to raise money for itself from the financial markets. And so if the gold board wants to assert that statutory mandate, and for that matter, the Bank of Ghana has to end what it was doing under the domestic gold purchase program, you don't look at that and say, oh, that means gold board was doing something wrong. I can tell you that as we speak, the IMF and the Bank of Ghana are all engaging gold board that they still want to be our fiscal agents under the gold board model, where they will be raising money for us as an intermediary. It is the gold board that is rather saying, no, we will do it ourselves. So that claim is not true. And then you hear him say that, oh, gold board was being paid some fees, and it is because of the noise they made that the fees were reduced. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I brought evidence here, and if you need the evidence, I'll give it to you. That evidence is a letter dated October 29, 2025, way before the MPP ever held a press conference on gold board or domestic gold purchase program in 2025. Because the first press conference they held in the aftermath of the IMF report on domestic gold purchase program was in December. If you recall, we were celebrating Christmas at the time, December 2025. But by October 29, 2025, the Gold Board and Bank of Ghana, through negotiations, had reduced the fees to 0.6. Does that mean there was something wrong? No. What it meant was that the Gold Board was more efficient in aggregating gold, that it didn't need 0.75%. We conceded upon request by Bank of Ghana that we could do with little and still achieve better results. And number two, the quantity of gold we're buying had gone up and gold prices have skyrocketed. And therefore, even if we reduce our fees, we knew that we could still cater for ourselves. So that was an act of patriotism and not because of the noise of a rabble-rouser. Now, number four, and I'm wrapping up. They say, oh, Gold Board takes credit for the upside of the domestic gold purchase program, but the Gold Board does not take the blame for the downside. So we are being double standard. The Gold Board has not taken any credit for any upside of any domestic gold purchase program. We are saying that President Mahama's vision in establishing the Gold Board, even though we did not begin the full implementation of that mandate in 2025, we were able to contribute substantially to the volume of gold that we aggregated as buying agent for the Bank of Ghana in ways that the PMMC, our antecedent, could never do and never did. And that was because of the effective aggregation system, the competitive pricing, and the other measures we introduced in 2025. And so we talk about the quantum of gold we were able to buy because of how we were able to plug leakages, intensify the fight against smuggling, reduce gold that was going out through informal channels and all that. That is what we talk about. And so let them get the facts correct. Then they talk about what commercial risk was Gold Board bearing under the domestic gold purchase program. Ladies and gentlemen, is it easy to be giving 133 billion Ghana cedis in a year, cash, bank transfer money, to buy gold in the market and not burn 1 cedi of that. Can our former board chairman of ECG, Afenyo-Markin, under whose tenure in 2024 the ECG recorded a loss of 8.2 billion, boast of such competence? The answer, I believe, should be obvious. Their position has now conveniently changed from the old false narrative that the gold board made losses to the new false narrative, which is that the gold board is responsible for losses incurred by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing could be further from the truth. First, nowhere in the under-referenced IMF reports is gold board accused by the IMF as having caused the losses reported to have been incurred by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program. I challenge Afenyo-Markin to point to any page, paragraph, sentence, phrase, or punctuation mark in the said reference reports of the IMF where the gold board was accused by the IMF as the entity responsible for losses incurred by the Bank of Ghana. In summary, ladies and gentlemen, what the IMF report states is that Bank of Ghana incurred losses through the sale of gold under its domestic gold purchase program of $400 million in the year 2024 and $1.7 billion in the year 2025. And that the 2025 loss of $1.7 billion was as a result of, I'm quoting the IMF verbatim, the scaling up of the domestic gold purchase program, not incompetence or mismanagement. According to the IMF, that loss was as a result of the scaling up, the expansion of the program. The IMF also stated that these accounting losses partly reflect valuation effects. In particularizing what the IMF considers to be components of this loss, the IMF listed 3 things, which included fees paid to the gold board under the domestic gold purchase program. This is the true context within which the name of the gold board featured relative to losses under the DGPP in the reference IMF reports. But let me just add this. He said people say that because of the role I played in opposition and all that. I'm not the only person who played a role in bringing the NDC to power. And I am not those who think that because of the role I played in opposition, I should be insulated or immune to criticism. Public officers must uphold the principles of probity and accountability. That is the underlying principle of the 1992 Constitution and a very key tenet of value of the National Democratic Congress that I belong to. So we embrace and welcome constructive criticism. When Kojo Opon Nkrumah, for example, criticizes Gold Board, I may disagree with him and say that he's not being factual. But it's not personal because he's making an intellectual argument. Okay, if somebody like Abner Sari say criticizes Gold Board, you can see that poor woman, he doesn't have the information. It's not personal. It's not personal. She doesn't have the information. You understand? If Anta criticizes Gold Board, all of them have criticized us in the past. We've not done a press conference. It is their entitlement. They are entitled to the opinion because they don't make it personal. You've not heard any of them talking about, hey, any bail conditions, they're best small. You understand? But when you hear that guy speaks, you know that there is a problem. This is personal. So we are not saying that we are above criticism. No, we accept and embrace criticism because it is at the heart of public service. Then the fourth claim under this new theory that, Gold Board has not made losses, but Gold Board is responsible for losses made by Bank of Ghana. They say that the reported domestic gold purchase program losses stems from Gold Board's trade model, and that the program was implemented through the Gold Board in 2025. So Gold Board is responsible. Ladies and gentlemen, although the Gold Board was established in April 2025, it was not until March 2026 that it commenced the implementation of its trade model envisaged under the Gold Board Act. This is because the Gold Board received its revolving seed capital budgeted for it in the 2025 budget as late as 30th December 2025. Also, the Gold Board had to put in place the necessary institutional measures and systems before takeoff. The trade model implemented by the Bank of Ghana in the year 2025, which the IMF has reported on, was evidently the domestic gold purchase program model. When did the domestic gold purchase program become Gold Board's trade model? And how can the domestic gold purchase program that the MPP in the past have given the credit, to Bawumia for, be said to be arising, losses under that program be said to be arising from a Gold Board model, when the Gold Board model only started in March 2026? Because of what I've already explained, our seed capital coming as late as 30th December 2025, and the need for us to put in place the necessary institutional, systems and framework before takeoff. Then they make another claim in their press statement that the reported domestic gold purchase program losses is partly caused by hidden offtake discounts determined by Gold Board. The answer is also very simple. As I've already explained, ladies and gentlemen, the PMMC or Gold Board was only a buying agent under the domestic gold purchase program. Its role ended at buying gold. It had no role in selling gold or signing offtake agreements. Therefore, it could not determine offtake discounts. It must, however, be noted that offtake discounts are a standard feature of gold doré trades. The BOG did extremely well in 2025 in reducing offtake discounts from as high as 2.2% in 2024 under the MPP to 1.2% in 2025. This fact can be verified by anyone from the BOG, and this discount, offtake discount, cannot by any stretch of imagination be the reason for reported losses.